정혜성이라고 해. 잘 부탁해.
근데 이 새끼가 돌았나 이씨.
여기서 뭐해? 집에 가야지.
In the middle of a high-stakes operation, Korean intelligence agent Hae-sung is tasked with stopping the illegal sale of a priceless historical statue. Alongside him is a fellow agent working undercover, blending into the shadows of the black market. As the lead operative, Hae-sung must juggle the weight of his role, maintaining cover, staying sharp, and ready to fight when the mission turns violent. And it does. When the deal goes sideways, Hae-sung's cover is blown. But he's no rookie. He moves fast, striking with precision, taking down his enemies one by one. His martial arts training kicks in like instinct. Meanwhile, his partner manages to grab the statue, but only for a moment. The seller snatches it back and bolts. Hae-sung doesn't hesitate. He charges after the suspect, pushing past orders. His team leader, Sako, warns him to stand down, reminding him the mission and team come first. But Hae-sung is locked in. He leaps into the enemy's car, fights hand-to-hand as the vehicle spins out of control. When it all crashes down, he walks away with the statue in hand.
존나 멋있어. 임무 완료입니다.
Back at their headquarters, the team examines the artifact, only to discover the statue's hand is broken, revealing a bullet buried inside. A match to Hae-sung's own weapon, fired in the chaos. A mistake that could cost everything.
아니 대체 어떤 새끼야 여기다 총을 박아놓은...
The next day, director Hyung-bae lays down the consequences. Furious over the damaged statue, he considers cutting Hae-sung from the agency. But Sako steps in, vouching for him as one of their top agents. After a tense moment, Hyung-bae backs down, but not without a price. Hae-sung gets one last shot, one mission. No room for failure. That night, Sako gathers his team at a quiet local restaurant to deliver their next mission. The target, Bongmun High School, an elite private institution with a dark past. The school was founded by Beong-mun, a man labeled a traitor in Korean history. Decades ago, he stole 10 tons of gold, treasure once owned by Korea's last emperor, and meant to fund the nation's independence. Now, the intelligence service believes that gold is still hidden somewhere on the school grounds. Worse, the Beong-mun Foundation may be planning to smuggle it out of the country. If that happens, it would be a massive loss for the nation. To stop it, director Hyung-bae gives a bold order. Hae-sung must go undercover as a high school student, blend in, and find the gold. Hae-sung pushes back. The idea is absurd. He's a trained field agent, not a teenage kid, and going back to high school is the last thing he wants. But that same night, while still at the eatery, he overhears Sako saying the team will be disbanded if Hae-sung walks away. Those changes everything. Just then, Sua, the owner's daughter, comes home. She's working as a temp teacher at Bongmun High. She notices Hae-sung, his calm, focused demeanor, and is quietly drawn to him. But the moment doesn't last. A group of drunk young men stir up trouble, refusing to pay. One gets aggressive with Sua. Hae-sung acts fast. With precise, practiced moves, he takes them down in seconds. That night, Hae-sung is hit by a wave of old memories. Scenes from his teenage years filled with bullying, isolation, and teachers who looked the other way. The pain from the past still lingers, making the idea of returning to high school feel like walking back into a nightmare. But after taking time to think, he picks up the phone and tells Sako he'll take the mission, knowing full well it won't be easy. The next day, Sako lays out the plan. Bongmun High isn't a regular school. It's an elite international academy, filled with the sons and daughters of Korea's most powerful corporate heirs, political families, and future leaders. The power structure inside mirrors the real world, with status passed down like a family name. Blending in will take more than just a school uniform. To help him stay undercover, the team equips Hae-sung with a fake identity and trains him in up-to-date slang and student habits. Every detail is covered. His mission is clear: enter the school, stay under the radar, and find the stolen gold hidden by the Byungmun Foundation. Not long after, Haesong walks through the school gates as a new student, but right away he's caught off guard. His homeroom teacher is none other than Soo-ah, the woman from the eatery. At first, she doesn't recognize him, but after a moment, it clicks. He's the man who stepped in when she was in trouble. In class, she calls on Haesong to introduce himself.
정혜성이라고 해. 잘 부탁해.
He does so calmly, then takes his assigned seat right next to Dongmin, a quiet student constantly picked on by others. Among the crowd of students, one girl immediately catches Haesong's eye, Yoo-jung. He knows exactly who she is. She's not just a classmate, she's the daughter of Sok-ho, making her both Haesong's cousin and the niece of his commanding officer. During lunch, Haesong begins scouting the campus. His attention is drawn to an old, rundown building tucked away on school grounds. It looks abandoned, untouched for decades. Suspicious, he keeps it in mind. As he continues walking, he notices something troubling. A group of students is ganging up on Dongmin, the quiet kid from his class. Instinct tells Haesong to intervene, but he holds back. Sok-ho's warning echoes in his mind. No unnecessary trouble, no exposure.
참아야 하느니라.
아, 이 새끼야 깜짝 놀랐잖아. 발이 보인다. 잘 뛴다.
Later, in class, Haesong quietly asks Dongmin about the mysterious building. Dongmin explains it dates back to the Japanese occupation, and dark rumors surround it, stories of bodies buried inside. The school has sealed it off, banning students from going near. But instead of backing off, the mystery only fuels Haesong's suspicion. If the gold is hidden anywhere, this could be it. While Haesong digs deeper at the school, the scene shifts to Mi Young-ju, the powerful head of the Byungmun Foundation. She's seen attending the funeral of a former National Assembly member. There, she makes a bold move, promising to cover the late official's child's tuition at Bangmun High. By her side is the school principal, Jae-moon, who casually mentions that the politician's death won't be investigated further. No autopsy, no questions. It's a quiet signal. The foundation has deeper control than anyone realizes. Haesong wastes no time. He reports back to Sok-ho with a key detail. Despite looking abandoned, the old school building still has an active electric meter. That one clue suggests something's going on inside, and it might be the hiding place for the stolen gold. Ready to take the risk, Haesong plans to break in that same night. But this is no ordinary mission. This is the beginning of something much deeper. Beneath the surface of school uniforms and dusty hallways lies a secret tied to history, power, and long-forgotten betrayal. This is Undercover High School. After quietly disabling the school's CCTV system, he slips into the building under cover of darkness. Room by room, he searches for any sign of the hidden treasure. Just as he reaches the basement entrance, everything stops. A gun is pointed at him. It's Soo-ah, on night patrol, checking on students pulling late study hours. Thankfully, Haesong came prepared. He's masked and unidentifiable. Without hesitation, he escapes before she can uncover his identity. The next morning, Mi Young-ju personally inspects the scene. She's briefed by Jae-moon, who reports a sudden CCTV failure and only one witness, Soo-ah. Mi Young-ju doesn't buy the idea of a random intruder. She suspects someone is after the gold and believes they'll strike again. Meanwhile, things heat up back in class. Haesong and Dongmin become targets once more, this time by Tae-soo, a student council member with a reputation for causing trouble. Tae-soo walks around like he owns the school because in many ways, he does. His father, a high-ranking assemblyman, has poured massive donations into Bangmun High, giving Tae-soo protection and power no one dares challenge. Even Yoo-jung steps in, warning Haesong to tread carefully around him. During a short break, Haesong spots something suspicious, Principal Jae-moon slipping into the old building. He quickly alerts Sok-ho, certain that something is going on inside. Moments later, a strange noise catches his attention. It's coming from a trash bin nearby. When he checks, he's stunned. Dongmin is inside, tied up and gagged. It's clear the mastermind behind it was Tae-soo. Later, Dongmin opens up. He admits he can't fight back. With no parents and only his elderly grandmother at home, he feels helpless. He even begs Haesong to stay out of it, afraid any resistance will only bring more pain. Just then, Soo-ah arrives and immediately notices Dongmin's dirty clothes. She pulls Haesong aside and questions him directly. She suspects him of bullying Dongmin. But that's not all. She starts connecting dots. Haesong looks too much like the masked figure she saw the night before during the break-in. Still, he keeps calm, says little, and leaves before she can confirm her suspicions.
움직이지 마. 이리 와봐.
아니 왜요?
아, 이리 와봐.
아니 왜?
Meanwhile, Sako finds a newspaper article about Mi Young-ju's new project, an 800 million won education city development. It's the same amount as the missing gold, confirming the link between them. At the same time, Mi Young-ju holds a high-level meeting with Jae-moon and other senior officials. The focus is the massive education city project. Behind closed doors, it becomes clear the project may be a cover to launder the stolen gold. To keep things under control, Mi Young-ju orders the vice principal to quietly remove anyone who poses a threat. Back on campus, Haesong sits down with Dong-min for lunch. Dong-min shares a chilling story tied to the old building. He talks about a ballet studio once used there, where a student frequently bullied suffered a terrible accident that led to the loss of her leg. She later does the unthinkable, and her classmates allegedly buried her body beneath the floor. Since then, rumors say her ghost returns every year on the day she died.
여기서 뭐해? 집에 가야지.
Dong-min even shows a video as proof. But while others focus on the ghost story, Haesong notices something else, a hidden room in the footage, guarded by a high-end security system. That detail matters. Before he can dig deeper, Tae-soo barges in with his gang, furious that Dong-min escaped from the trash bin earlier than planned. When Haesong steps in to protect him, Tae-soo snaps, but this time, he's messing with the wrong person. Haesong, with his training and speed, takes control in seconds. He puts Tae-soo in his place, fast and without effort, leaving the entire class in shock.
아, 근데 이 새끼가 돌았나 이씨.
The chaos only stops when Suah arrives and puts an end to it. At the school's counseling office, the vice principal steps in and overturns Tae-soo's suspension. With his father being a powerful lawmaker and a major donor to Bangmun High, Tae-soo is shielded from consequences. No matter how serious the offense, the school protects him, making him untouchable. Later, Suah confronts Haesong, demanding answers about the cafeteria incident. She's stunned to learn that the vice principal acted without consulting her. When she pushes for a reason behind the fight, Haesong doesn't hold back. He questions whether she truly doesn't see the corruption around her or if she's just turning a blind eye. That night, the situation escalates. A video of Haesong standing up to Tae-soo has gone viral. Hyungbae sees it and is furious. He had given strict orders for Haesong to avoid drawing attention. Now, with his cover at risk, the mission is in jeopardy. Accompanied by Sako, Haesong goes to meet Hyungbae face to face. Hyungbae issues a clear warning, one more mistake, and Haesong is out. Behind the mission, though, lies a deeper reason for Haesong's commitment. Years ago, his father, also an intelligence agent, vanished during a mission. He once worked with both Sako and Hyungbae, and his disappearance remains a mystery. Before they part, Sako hands Haesong a special key, capable of unlocking most restricted public areas, including a door seen in Dong-min's video. With the special key in hand, Haesong wastes no time. He heads straight to the old school building, focused on unlocking the hidden room. But he isn't alone. Dong-min spots him sneaking in and follows, thinking Haesong is just trying to prove the ghost story from earlier. Down in the basement, strange noises lead them to the old ballet studio. Inside, someone is tearing up the floor. Before they can react, the intruder hurls a hammer at them and bolts. Haesong doesn't chase. He stays on task and moves toward the locked room. Once inside, he finds the walls lined with files and documents. It's not what he expected, but it's a breakthrough. He quickly contacts Sako and reports in. The mission is far from over. Haesong suspects that Mi Young-ju hasn't found the gold either and is still searching. But what he doesn't know is that a hidden CCTV camera is tracking his every move, and Mi Young-ju is watching. Back in the ballet studio, Dong-min makes a disturbing discovery, a human skeleton buried under the floor. He believes it's the remains of the bullied student from the school legend. But Haesong takes a closer look and quickly realizes the truth. It's a fake. Plastic bones, deliberately placed to keep people away. As Haesong scans the room, something grabs his attention, an old, worn-out pair of ballet shoes. Inside one of them, he finds a hidden key. Without wasting a second, he pockets it just as someone walks in. It's Jae-moon. Demanding answers, Jae-moon presses them on why they're there. Thinking fast, Haesong covers by saying they were exploring the place as part of a school legend challenge, chasing ghost stories. Later, Haesong meets with Sako and the rest of the team. He reveals the key and shows them an engraving on its surface. After analyzing it, they find a possible connection to the missing gold. A new theory takes shape. The ghost stories tied to Bangmun High may actually be coded messages left by the school's founder. Not random myths, but puzzles protecting the treasure's location. The team quickly refocuses. There are 4 ghost stories in total, and each one could hold a vital clue. Now, the mission isn't just about finding gold, it's a race to solve the legends before Mi Young-ju does. At the Byungmun Foundation, Jae-moon informs Mi Young-ju about the incident at the old building. She comes to the same conclusion as the intelligence team. The ghost stories are more than just school folklore. Realizing this, she changes course. Instead of stopping Haesong, she decides to let him continue. If he finds the gold, she plans to take it once the hard work is done. The next day, Soo-ah receives a disturbing phone call. Dong-min's grandmother is asking about her ID card, which she thought was submitted to the school. She says someone claimed they needed it for Dong-min's scholarship. But the name they gave wasn't Tae-soo, it was Haesong. Haesong presses forward with his search, digging deeper into the ghost stories tied to Bangmun High. Dong-min joins him once again, this time sharing a disturbing rumor about an old campus clock. The legend claims that if someone is alone when the clock chimes, they'll be visited by a red-eyed spirit. Afterward, Haesong meets with the school's security guard. He had just received confirmation from the agency. Fingerprints from the scene matched the guard. He was the one who threw the hammer at them during the break-in. With nowhere left to hide, the guard confesses. He claims it was a misunderstanding. According to him, he wasn't trying to hurt anyone. He had stumbled onto a skeleton buried under the studio floor. While trying to retrieve his phone, which had fallen through the boards, he panicked and tried to cover it up. That's when Haesong and Dong-min walked in. The hammer was a reflex, not an attack. Elsewhere, Dong-min decides it's time to stand up for himself. He confronts Tae-soo, demanding the return of his grandmother's ID card. He knows now it wasn't Haesong who took it. It was Tae-soo all along. But instead of backing down, Tae-soo mocks him and raises his foot, ready to crush Dong-min's hand as punishment.
경찰에 신고하기 전에 앞으로 그런 왼손으로 쏘.
Before it gets worse, Soo-ah arrives and stops the assault. Still, despite her intervention, Dong-min remains silent. The fear of retaliation is too strong. Tae-soo's power still holds. After witnessing the assault, Soo-ah brings Tae-soo into the counseling office. But he shows no concern. Confident in his status, he reminds her that she's just a temporary teacher with no real authority at Bangmun High. As always, the school's power dynamic is clear. Students with wealthy, influential parents are untouchable. Later that day, Haesong helps an elderly woman cross the street, unaware she's Dong-min's grandmother, the same one caught up in Tae-soo's scheme. That evening, Dong-min privately apologizes to Haesong for staying silent about the stolen ID. Still, he believes the problem is over now that the ID has been returned. But things take a sharp turn. Just after Haesong leaves, 2 police officers show up at Dong-min's home. They're investigating an illegal gambling site, and Dong-min's grandmother's name is listed as one of the operators. Despite her age, the evidence is enough to bring her in for questioning. Panicked and unsure of what to do, Dong-min calls Haesong, who happens to be with Soo-ah. She had just started to apologize for wrongly accusing him. Hearing the urgency in Dong-min's voice, Haesong rushes to the station. Once there, it doesn't take long to figure out the truth. The ID used for the gambling site wasn't just stolen, it was planted. Tae-soo had used it to register the operation in the grandmother's name. This wasn't schoolyard bullying anymore. It was a calculated setup, a serious crime. That night, Haesong sneaks back onto campus to examine the infamous haunted clock. As he prepares to unlock it, he's caught off guard. Mi Young-ju appears out of nowhere. What he doesn't realize is that she's been watching his every step, tracking his moves through hidden surveillance. By morning, the school is in chaos. A shocking article has gone live on the school's website, exposing Tae-soo's abuse of Dong-min and linking him to the illegal gambling case. The vice principal, alarmed by the scandal, immediately orders a meeting and tells Soo-ah to call in both students' guardians. What no one suspects is that Sua is the one who posted the article. Tae-soo's parents arrive soon after, ready to defend their son. With Dong-min's grandmother still in police custody, Sua stands in for his side. But when the meeting begins, things take an unexpected turn. Dong-min denies everything. He says the article is false and claims that the real bully was Hae-song. After the meeting, Sua confronts Dong-min, demanding the truth. Quietly, he admits what really happened. The night before, Tae-soo threatened him, promising that his grandmother would stay in prison for good unless he blamed Hae-song. Cornered and terrified, Dong-min lied to protect the only family he has left. Soon after, the school announces a disciplinary committee hearing to address the bullying accusations against Hae-song. Knowing the truth but furious at Tae-soo's manipulation, Hae-song turns to his team for help. They dig into Tae-soo's background, and the truth surfaces fast. Tae-soo is linked to a known leader of an illegal online gambling ring. With solid evidence in hand, Hae-song races to the gambling hideout, determined to bring the ringleader in as a witness. He contacts Sua, asking her to stall the meeting until he gets back. But as the clock ticks and Hae-song fails to appear, pressure builds. Mi Hyung-ju, seeing an opportunity, orders the committee to move forward. She tells Sua to bring in Tae-soo and Dong-min to testify. In front of everyone, Dong-min stays silent about the truth. Still gripped by fear, he repeats the same false accusation, blaming Hae-song for bullying. The vice principal prepares to close the case and deliver the final decision. But just as the gavel is about to drop, the doors swing open. Hae-song storms in, dragging the gambling ringleader and one of Tae-soo's accomplices with him. The truth is now undeniable. Earlier, Hae-song, Sako, and their team launched a raid on the gambling operations headquarters. It didn't take long. They tracked down the ringleader and brought him straight to the school as a key witness. Back at the disciplinary hearing, Hae-song reveals the truth. The man beside him is the one who used Dong-min's grandmother's ID for illegal gambling accounts. Under pressure, the ringleader confesses Tae-soo was one of his top clients. Deep in debt and desperate to keep playing, Tae-soo began stealing identities to stay in the game. That's when Dong-min finally finds his voice. In front of everyone, he admits the truth. It was Tae-soo who bullied him all along, with relentless cruelty.
다 박태수가 시킨 거예요. 우리 할머니 갖고 협박했어요.
야, 네가 한 말에 책임질 수 있냐고.
난 끝까지 그렇게 얘기할 거야.
To back it up, Hae-song presents hard evidence. CCTV footage of Tae-soo making deals with the gambling boss. Now fully exposed, Tae-soo snaps. He charges at Hae-song, who lets him throw the first punch just enough to legally hit back. The fight explodes until suddenly Tae-soo's father storms in, furious and out of control. He lunges at Hae-song. But before he can land a blow, Sua steps in. Without hesitation, she takes him down, right there, in front of the entire room. After the hearing, Tae-soo's father makes a desperate move. He goes straight to Mi Young-ju, begging her to let his son stay at Bangmun High. He even offers to pay any amount to bury the issue. But Mi Young-ju stands firm. Tae-soo's actions cross the line, and she refuses to protect him. Expulsion is final. That night, Hae-song and Dong-min regroup at a cafe, their current base of operations, with Sako and the team. There, Dong-min shares the next ghost story connected to the school. Years ago, a student murdered the top-ranked classmate to steal her position. Since then, her ghost is said to appear at midnight, eyes glowing red, whenever someone is left alone when the old clock chimes. That legend led to a rule: never be near the clock alone at midnight. The next day, Hae-song returns to inspect the clock more closely, now convinced it may hide clues to the missing gold. While examining it, he runs into Yoo-jung, his cousin and Sako's daughter, who's posting flyers to recruit new student council members after Tae-soo's removal. As they talk, something catches Hae-song's eye, another clock, identical to the first. Yoo-jung explains that Bangmun High has two of them, twin clocks. One is downstairs, the other is in the student council room, a space only accessible to council members. Driven by curiosity, Hae-song heads upstairs to check out the student council room. But just as he's about to enter, the door swings open. Standing there is Ye-na, the student council president and Mi Young-ju's daughter. She makes it clear, only council members are allowed inside. Regular students like him have no access. If he wants in, he has only one option: join the student council. Determined, Hae-song meets with Sua to learn what it takes. The rules are strict. To qualify, a student must be in the top 10% academically and collect at least 100 signatures from classmates as proof of support. The challenge is steep, but Hae-song doesn't back down. He gets to work, and Dong-min is the first to sign. Luckily, since exposing Tae-soo, Hae-song has gained serious respect around campus. With help from his agency team, he gathers the required signatures fast. The students are eager to support the one who stood up against abuse. Meanwhile, Yena returns home. There, Mi Young-ju delivers one of her usual lectures. She tells Yena to stay focused on midterms and demands she remain the top student. To Mi Young-ju, second place isn't good enough. It's a failure. Her words make one thing clear. She's a ruthless parent who puts overwhelming pressure on her daughter to win at any cost. At the same time, Soo-ah sits down for tea with a group of teachers. The topic turns to Hae-song, whose mature behavior stands out more than ever. Something about him feels off. Her suspicion grows after she sees a parked car with an ID inside showing Hae-song's name. It doesn't make sense for a high school student to legally own a car. Later that day, while heading home slightly tipsy from a cafe visit, Soo-ah stumbles and accidentally knocks on the wrong door. To her surprise, it's Hae-song's house. Before things escalate, her mother arrives and takes her home. Curious, Hae-song quietly follows them and makes a discovery of his own. Their houses are just a few doors apart. The next day, midterm exams begin. For Hae-song, this is more than just a test. His spot on the student council and his mission depends on these results. When the grades are finally released, Soo-ah hands him his report. He checks it with quiet tension. Relief hits, he ranks 10th in the entire school, just enough to qualify.
전교 10등!
With the final requirement met, Hae-song submits his application to Yena, the student council president. At first, he's discouraged. 2 other students have also applied. But Yena senses something different about him. In the end, she chooses Hae-song to fill the vacant seat left by Tae-soo. From that moment on, Hae-song becomes an official member of the Bangmun High Student Council. Meanwhile, Soo-ah grows increasingly suspicious of who Hae-song really is. Her online searches come up empty, but she doesn't stop there. Determined to find answers, she contacts the school listed in his records to verify his background. What she doesn't realize is that Hae-song's intelligence team has already prepared for this. Her inquiry is blocked, and the trail goes cold. Later that day, Hae-song gets a call from Sako, warning him that Soo-ah is digging into his past. She even reached out to his fake former school. Sako tells him to keep his distance from her, though that's easier said than done. She's still his homeroom teacher. The next day marks a new step. Hae-song enters the student council room for the first time. During the meeting, Soo-ah, who also acts as the council advisor, formally introduces him as the newest member. Once the meeting ends, he wastes no time. He quietly begins inspecting the twin clocks, convinced they hold clues to the missing gold. But before he can finish, Yena and Yoo-jung suddenly return to the room, forcing him to stop. After school, Yena confronts her mother, Ma Young-ju, questioning why Hae-song was allowed to join the council. That's when the truth comes out. His selection wasn't entirely Yena's call. Mi Young-ju had planned it all along. No one knows yet. But one thing is clear. She has her own agenda, and Hae-song is now part of it. That night, Hae-song sneaks back into the school to inspect the second clock in the student council room. He manages to unlock it but finds nothing inside. No clues, just more questions. Suddenly, an envelope slides under the door. He rushes out to catch the person behind it, but the hallway is empty. Inside the envelope is a message. It's short, but direct, and it proves someone out there knows exactly who he is. Alarmed, Hae-song and Sako report everything to Hyung-bae. They fear the mission has been exposed. But Hyung-bae considers a deeper threat. He suspects the breach may have come from the inside. After the meeting, he quietly orders a full background check on every staff member and teacher at Bangmun High. The next morning, the reports come in. As Hyung-bae reviews the files, one stands out, and whatever he reads clearly shocks him. But whose file it is remains a mystery. Meanwhile, Hae-song tries to pull CCTV footage from the night before. But it's gone, wiped clean by someone who knew what to erase. With no clear suspect, suspicion turns to Mi Young-ju, head of the Byungmun Foundation. Her real plans are still hidden, but the signs point to something much bigger. At the same time, Mi Young-ju is shown holding a man captive, the CEO of a newspaper that had publicly criticized her Education City project. He refused to cooperate, so she silenced him. It's a clear message. She'll do whatever it takes to get what she wants. That night, Hae-song gets a call from the same person who left him the mysterious envelope. It's the school security guard, urgently asking him to come to the rooftop alone. Hae-song rushes to the school, but as he arrives, he watches in shock as someone falls from the upper floor. The body hits the ground. It's the security guard, dead. The clock strikes midnight, fueling rumors about the ghost stories tied to the school. But what stops Hae-song cold is what the guard is holding, a notebook that once belonged to his father. The scene flashes back to moments before the fall. The guard had been waiting on the rooftop when a hooded figure appeared, demanding the notebook. The guard refused. A struggle followed. Rather than give up the book, he held on to it until the end, falling to his death to protect it. That's when Hae-song arrives and takes the notebook. Realizing the attacker is still nearby, Hae-song gives chase, but he doesn't get far before he's struck from the shadows. The attacker is Jae-moon, carrying out Mi Young-ju's orders to retrieve the notebook. Inside are notes and clues left behind by Hae-song's father, critical information about the missing gold. Despite the ambush, Hae-song holds on to the notebook. Just as he prepares to fight back, a sudden noise from behind a door pulls his attention. In that split second, Jae-moon vanishes. The chase is over, for now. Enraged, Hae-song storms into Hyung-bae's office, demanding answers. He wants the full truth, what really happened to his father, and why his notebook was found at Bangmun High. With no way out, Hyung-bae finally admits it. Hae-song's father was also an intelligence agent, sent on the same mission to find the hidden gold beneath the school. But during that operation, he disappeared without a trace. For 2 decades, no one knew what became of him. The revelation hits hard. Hae-song is furious. In a flash of emotion, he nearly lashes out at Hyung-bae, only to be stopped just in time by Sak-ho. What hurts more than the truth is the betrayal. Sak-ho, a man Hae-song saw as a father figure, had kept the secret for 20 years. And worse, Sak-ho and his father had once served side by side in the agency. After cooling down, Hae-song returns to headquarters the next day with a new resolve. He tells the team he's ready to finish the mission, no matter what it takes, and uncover the truth about his father's disappearance. Back at school, the guard's death is ruled as a desperate act caused by financial pressure. The Byungmun Foundation issues a public statement offering support to his family. But Hae-song knows there's more to the story. Now holding his father's notebook, he heads to the student council room to investigate the twin clocks, following the clues. But the search turns up nothing, except for the school anthem, which he records as a potential lead. According to the notebook, the next step takes him to a different mystery entirely: the haunted piano. Unexpectedly, Soo-ah steps forward with a shocking claim. The security guard didn't do the unthinkable. He was pushed. She also reveals that she saw Hae-song at the scene. The voice that stopped his fight with the masked man, Jae-moon, was hers. She had witnessed everything. With the truth out, Hae-song has no choice but to come clean. He tells her he's an intelligence agent on a mission to locate the national gold treasure hidden beneath Bangmun High. Now that she knows, the risk is real. If his cover is exposed, she could face serious consequences too. That night, Hae-song returns to headquarters and hands over the latest evidence. His team confirms something unusual. The lyrics of the Byungmun school anthem had been changed. According to his father's notebook, the next clue points to an old piano somewhere on campus. But instead of being praised, Hae-song is reprimanded by Sak-ho for revealing his identity to Soo-ah. Later, Hae-song meets with Soo-ah to apologize. He admits he shouldn't have threatened her and asks for her help. He needs her to keep his secret and assist with the mission. After thinking it through, Soo-ah agrees, hoping that her involvement might earn her recognition from the government and lead to a permanent position as a teacher. Elsewhere, Mi Young-ju meets with a shadowy figure to discuss the death of the school's security guard. It's revealed that the guard wasn't just a staff member. He was once a fellow agent who worked alongside Hae-song's father and knew the full details of the mission. The man Mi Young-ju meets is no ordinary contact. He's a rogue intelligence agent who betrayed his former team. A few days earlier, Mi Young-ju had confronted the guard, pressing him about his past. When he refused to talk and instead threatened to expose the truth about what happened to Hae-song's father, information hidden in the notebook, she gave the order. Jae-moon was sent to retrieve it. But the plan failed. The guard died, and the notebook ended up in Hae-song's hands. The next day, Hae-song and Soo-ah team up to follow the next clue from the notebook. They begin investigating the third ghost story, about a piano that supposedly plays on its own. But the piano they find doesn't match the one described in the notes. That's when Soo-ah remembers a detail. The right piano might be in Mi Young-ju's office, a restricted area locked behind a high-security fingerprint system and only accessible during special school events. Later that night, Hae-song checks in with his team. He believes the hidden basement and the files he uncovered earlier may have been planted by his father during his original mission. The fact that Mi Young-ju is still after the notebook confirms one thing: she doesn't know where the gold is either. She's still searching, just like they are. One of Hae-song's teammates uncovers a crucial detail. The school anthem he recorded is meant to be played as a four-hand piano duet. That means the piano in Mi Young-ju's office likely holds a secret that can only be unlocked when played by two people. Unfortunately, no one on the team knows how to play. Just then, Sua arrives with critical news. The Byungman Foundation is planning a major event, inviting all teachers and student council members. She volunteers to perform at the event and offers to teach Haesung the basics so he can join her as her duet partner.
나 저번에 춤도 췄어. 나 낯가린다니까. 안 해.
The next day, Sua takes on a new task, helping the team by keeping a close eye on Jae-moon and secretly collecting his fingerprints. Since Mi Young-ju's office is protected by a dual fingerprint system, they'll need both Jae-moon's and Mi Young-ju's prints to get in. The plan works, though Jae-moon starts to grow suspicious of her behavior. Thanks to her success, Sua earns temporary access to National Intelligence Headquarters. She officially joins the team's mission planning, helping coordinate the upcoming infiltration of Mi Young-ju's office, timed perfectly to take place during the Foundation's high-profile event. The team splits up to carry out a precise plan. One of Haesung's agents goes undercover as a waiter, tasked with distracting the CCTV operators. Meanwhile, Sako and the tech team work on disabling the high-level security system guarding Mi Young-ju's office, careful not to trigger any alarms. The day of the banquet arrives. Teachers, staff, and VIP guests fill the event hall. While Mi Young-ju holds a private meeting with top officials, Haesung and Sua quietly begin their mission. With support from their surveillance team, they slip into the locked office unnoticed. Inside, they sit at the old piano and perform the school anthem, just as it was meant to be played, a duet, following the version heard from the twin clock. But when the final note is played, nothing happens. No hidden door, no secret passage. Only one thing stands out, a single damaged music note on the sheet. Realizing the mission has hit a dead end, Sako orders Haesung to reset the access logs and wipe all traces of the breach. They prepare to exit. But just before leaving, Haesung notices an open file on Mi Young-ju's computer. What he finds stops him cold, an internal document from the National Intelligence Agency outlining his exact mission. It confirms everything. He was sent to Bangmun High under deep cover to recover the gold stolen by the school's founder, once belonging to Korea's last emperor. One thing is now clear. Someone inside the agency leaked this classified operation to Mi Young-ju. Only a handful of intelligence officers, along with Sua, knew the full scope. That means there's a traitor inside the agency. On the way home, the rush of adrenaline Haesung felt earlier had vanished. Replaced by silence and doubt, he sat alone and began listing names, people who might have leaked the mission. After reviewing everything he knew, two names stood out: Hyungbae, his superior officer, and Sako, his own uncle. Back at the school event, cleanup was underway. Sua's attention was caught by a scene near the refreshment area. A student council member was berating a janitor for accidentally spilling ice cream on his shoe. The student was Seung-jae, well known for his arrogance and sense of entitlement. With a high-ranking father and major donor status, Seung-jae acted untouchable. Even the teacher stayed out of his way. After he walked off, the janitor quietly handed Sua something Seung-jae had dropped, a black card. She didn't know exactly what it unlocked, but it clearly wasn't ordinary. It looked like high-level access, likely reserved for the elite. She decided she'd return it at school. The next day, Sua went back to the school anthem and took a closer look. That's when she spotted it. The damaged music note wasn't random. When matched with the lyrics, each damaged note aligned with a syllable. Piece by piece, they formed a hidden message. When a person adorned with beads faces the red sun, the gold will shine. Sua didn't waste a second. She called Haesung right away to share the hidden message she'd found in the school anthem. But he was distracted, still focused on figuring out who inside the agency had leaked the mission. He brushed off her discovery, clearly preoccupied. Sensing something was wrong, Sua pushed him to explain. That's when Haesung finally opened up. He suspected Mi Young-ju might be the one behind everything, that she had orchestrated the mission from the start. With her influence inside the agency, she could have used him as a tool to recover the gold for her own gain. But the person that acted as a mole from the agency was still unknown. As they walked home, Sua promised to help expose the traitor. She also suggested he plant a listening device to track Mi Young-ju's movements. Then, in the middle of the conversation, Haesung revealed something unexpected. He and Sua had known each other as kids. They were once neighbors in elementary school, but neither had made the connection until now. The next day, still curious about the black card Seung-jae dropped, Sua entered the web address printed on the back. What she found stunned her. It led to files showing results and rankings for a math competition that hadn't even taken place yet. It was undeniable proof that Mi Young-ju was rigging scores, controlling outcomes from the shadows. But Soo-ah wasn't alone. Someone had been watching her and reported her activity. Not long after, Mi Young-ju confronted her face-to-face. Calm on the surface, but clearly dangerous, Mi Young-ju warned her, stay out of it or face the consequences. Later, Soo-ah met with Hae-song and told him everything she had uncovered about the manipulated grades. She asked for his help to bring the truth to light. At first, Hae-song refused. To him, the grading scandal had nothing to do with the mission to find the hidden gold. But that changed when he saw Yoo-jung studying hard for the upcoming math competition. Knowing her effort would be worthless because the results were already fixed hit him hard. That was the turning point. Hae-song agreed to help Soo-ah expose the system. Meanwhile, Mi Young-ju held a private meeting with Seung-jae and his father. She wanted to address the leak involving the black card and Soo-ah's discovery of the manipulated results. But she remained calm. She had already wiped all the data from the link. What they didn't know was that the entire meeting was being recorded. Earlier, Hae-song had planted a bug using an undercover waiter at the restaurant. During the conversation, Seung-jae casually admitted that he'd already told Ye-na everything about the card and who was involved in fixing the grades. He spoke like it was no big deal. But then he crossed the line, insulting Mi Young-ju with a careless comment. She snapped. Her response was harsh, both in words and in action, quickly putting him in his place. Still rattled by the growing signs of betrayal within the agency, Hae-song returned to headquarters. There, he handed over a flash drive filled with solid proof of the grade-fixing scheme involving several powerful students. He also made one thing clear. He believed the scandal might be tied to the missing gold, and he was ready to keep digging. At first, Sako scolded Hae-song, demanding that he stay focused on the mission to recover the gold and ignore everything else. Even though the grade manipulation directly harmed his own daughter, Yoo-jung, Sako's reaction only made Hae-song more suspicious of him. Still, Sako didn't ignore the issue. He reported it to Hyung-bae. Not long after, Mi Young-ju received a call warning her that Hae-song had uncovered the grade-rigging operation at Bangmun High. The voice on the other end stayed anonymous, but the damage was done. The next day, Hae-song was blindsided. Hyung-bae sent a message declaring the gold recovery mission canceled. That meant Hae-song would be pulled from the school, effective immediately. The sudden order made one thing clear. The scandal he had reported might be the reason the mission was shut down. Convinced someone inside the agency had leaked the information, Hae-song launched a bold counterplan. He decided to feed false intel, to make Mi Young-ju believe he had found the gold's exact location. His hope was to buy time and avoid being pulled out. But plan backfired. Mi Young-ju didn't take the bait. Instead, she gave Jae-moon the green light to move forward with their own hidden agenda. Whatever she was planning, it was already in motion. Meanwhile, still determined to uncover the truth, Soo-ah headed to the school's archive room to dig through old exam records. What she found was damning, solid proof, further exposing Mi Young-ju's role in the grade manipulation scheme. She arranged to meet Hae-song at his house to share what she had discovered. But the moment she arrived, something felt wrong. The front door was unlocked. Inside, she was met with a chilling sight, a masked man already waiting. Not long after, Hae-song returned home to find the place in disarray. The real shock came when he saw Soo-ah on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a stab wound to her abdomen. The story flashes back. When Soo-ah had first encountered the intruder, he hadn't planned to attack. But when she reached for her phone to call for help, he panicked. In the struggle, he stabbed her and fled, leaving her wounded and alone. Soo-ah was rushed to the hospital. Hae-song was overwhelmed with guilt. He hadn't been there to protect her. Examining the scene later, he noticed clear signs of carelessness. The attacker had left behind DNA, suggesting he was untrained or sloppy. He couldn't shake the thought, if the intruder was linked to the agency, or even worse, it was someone like Sako. Later, when Sako came to the hospital to check on Soo-ah, Hae-song didn't say a word. He met him with cold eyes and silent suspicion. Trust was breaking. After regaining consciousness, Soo-ah told Hae-song she believed the person behind the grade manipulation was Jun-ho, a math teacher personally appointed by Mi Young-ju to manage school exams and academic competitions. At the same time, Hae-song's team completed their analysis. The DNA left at the crime scene matched the intruder who had attacked Soo-ah. It was Jun-ho, confirming her suspicion. He wasn't just involved, he was the one who broke in. Haesung returned to his ransacked home, determined to find out what Junho was after. The evidence pointed to someone with no formal training, sloppy, rushed, and desperate. Eventually, he realized what was missing: the notebook left behind by his father. Junho had stolen it, likely under orders from Mi Young-ju. But even with the notebook in her hands, Mi Young-ju wasn't satisfied. One section, the fourth ghost story, was completely blank. No clue, no detail. She now understood something crucial. The final piece of the puzzle might only exist inside Haesung's head. Frustrated by yet another failure, Mi Young-ju gave a harsh order. Jae-moon was to eliminate Junho. Not only had Junho failed to secure the final clue, but he also nearly ruined everything by injuring Soo-ah, drawing attention they couldn't afford. What Mi Young-ju didn't know was that Haesung's team had already been ordered to follow Junho, knowing he might become a key witness. When they saw the hit coming, they jumped in to save him. But untrained and outmatched, they were quickly overwhelmed. Captured, they were thrown into a vehicle along with Junho, a vehicle headed straight for a crushing machine. Just as all hope seemed lost, Haesung arrived at
오늘은 토끼기 없기?
In a fierce showdown, he took down Jae-moon, finally landing the blows he'd been holding back for too long. With only seconds to spare, he stopped the machine, saving his team and Junho from a brutal end. But Haesung still had doubts. He needed to know who inside the agency was leaking information. So he took Junho to a secret location, known only to him and Sako. He purposely shared it, hoping to trigger a trap. If someone showed up to silence Junho, it would expose Sako as the mole. Morning came. No one arrived. That's when the truth hit hard. Sako wasn't the traitor. It was Hyung-bae all along. The next day, Haesung walked straight into Mi Young-ju's office and laid it all out. Jae-moon had been arrested. He knew exactly who in the agency had been helping her. And now, Junho was ready to testify, ready to expose everything. With the case building fast, Mi Young-ju was taken into police custody for questioning. At the station, she came face to face with Hyung-bae, who delivered the blow. The Education City project had been scrapped. The grade-rigging scandal had destroyed public trust, and the VIP parents had backed away to save themselves. But even then, Mi Young-ju stayed calm. Too calm. It was clear she still had something planned. That evening, Haesung met with Sako in private. He admitted his mistake. He had wrongly suspected his uncle of being the traitor. As a gesture of respect, Haesung promised to finish what his father had started: find the gold once owned by Korea's last emperor and uncover the truth behind it. With renewed focus, he returned to the final piece of the mystery, the fourth ghost story. Thanks to a clue cracked by Soo-ah, the next lead pointed to something called the red beads. Digging deeper, Haesung found an old article linking the red beads directly to the founder of the Byung-moon Foundation. Just as Haesung was ready to dig deeper into the fourth ghost story, a new threat hit hard. Bangmun High was suddenly swarmed by school commissioners, and shockingly, Mi Young-ju and Jae-moon had been released. No charges, no consequences. It was like nothing had happened. The message was clear. Mi Young-ju's power reached far beyond anyone had guessed. Wasting no time, she expelled Haesung from the school, furious that he had uncovered the final clue in the ghost story. It turned out she had already moved to cover her tracks. Witnesses were manipulated, and evidence inside Bangmun High had been destroyed. Everything she needed to erase the truth was already under her control. But Haesung refused to back down. Even after being expelled, he ordered his team to find another way to keep the mission alive. That's when the situation took another hit. The Central Intelligence Agency disbanded Haesung's team and accused them of bribery, a setup clearly arranged by Mi Young-ju and her ally Hyung-bae. It was a calculated warning: walk away or face worse. She even threatened Soo-ah's safety if Haesung kept pushing. Forced out of their official base, Haesung and his team regrouped at his home, determined to keep going. Then a breakthrough came. Haesung realized something critical. The fourth ghost story might not have been incomplete by accident. His father could have left it blank on purpose, to mislead anyone hunting the treasure, including Mi Young-ju. It was possible his father had already found the gold and died keeping the secret. At the same time, Mi Young-ju pushed forward with growing desperation. After cracking the founder's hidden message, she began using brute force. She ordered Jae-moon to tear through every building on campus in search of the gold. Meanwhile, Haesung was working to break down the same message: when the beads face the red sun, the gold will shine. He realized the red beads represented Byung-mun, the school's founder, and the only item linked to him was his statue in the main hall. The red sun pointed to the Japanese flag, meaning the statue needed to face southeast toward Japan. If he was right, the gold was hidden beneath it. To test the theory, Haesong disguised himself as a delivery man and returned to Bangmun High, with Suah helping him. When he reached the statue, the truth became clear. It could be turned. He was seconds away from unlocking something when the vice principal suddenly appeared. Haesong had to flee, but his helmet kept his identity hidden. The next day, the vice principal reported the break-in to Myung-ju, mentioning that Suah had been seen with an unknown man near the statue. Myung-ju quickly pieced it together. The mystery man had to be Haesong. Ironically, the failed attempt gave her the biggest clue yet, the founder's statue itself. That same night, she gave new orders to Jae-moon. Dig up everything around the statue. But Myung-ju was too late. Haesong and his team had already reached the site. This time, they didn't sneak around. They launched a full assault, blocking Myung-ju and her people to buy time and secure whatever was hidden beneath the statue. Outnumbered, she was forced to wait outside and call for reinforcements. While chaos unfolded above, Haesong slipped into the secret chamber under the Byung-mun statue.
두 번째는 학생이신 굿을 푸는 자 붉은의
At first, he found nothing, no gold, no treasure. But deeper inside, he came across something far more personal, a human skeleton. One detail stopped him cold, the wristwatch. It belonged to his father. The truth hit hard. His father hadn't vanished without a trace. He'd been trapped and left to die in that underground room. But how he ended up there, and who was responsible, remained unanswered. Outside, Myung-ju's backup arrived and forced their way in. She tore through the chamber, expecting to claim the gold for herself. But it wasn't there. No bars, no treasure, nothing. Convinced Haesong had taken it before her arrival, she spiraled deeper into obsession. The reality was far worse. There had never been any gold in the chamber at all. Either someone else had taken it long ago, or the legendary treasure was nothing more than a myth fed by Myung-ju's delusions. Back home, Haesong examined what little he brought back. Hidden in the lining of his father's clothing, he found a bullet, clear proof that his father hadn't died by accident. He had been murdered. Without wasting time, Haesong ordered his team to analyze the bullet. To keep Hyung-bae from interfering, Sako ran the bullet analysis on his own. The result was damning. The bullet came from a gun registered to a senior agent who once served alongside Haesong's father. That agent was Hyung-bae himself. At the same time, news of the skeleton discovery began to spread, making Hyung-bae nervous. If the bullet was traced back to him, his dark secret would be exposed. Acting fast, he fabricated an excuse and had Haesong suspended from the agency to shut him down. But Haesong wouldn't back off. He armed himself, ready to face Hyung-bae directly. Before leaving, he met with Suah for what might be their last meal together, quietly saying goodbye. When she mentioned the meeting to Sako, he knew right away something was wrong. Haesong was about to make a dangerous move. Finding Hyung-bae wasn't hard. Haesong tricked his assistant Jin Sung with a fake errand, then stormed into the office with a gun drawn. He wanted to know the truth, why Hyung-bae had killed his father, a man who was once his ally. But before Hyung-bae could answer, Jin Sung returned with security. Haesong was arrested on the spot. Just then, Suah and the team arrived. Without hesitation, they jumped into action, Joseon Shai attacking Hyung-bae's guards. Even Suah delivered a surprise flying kick, helping Haesong break free in the chaos. Once safe, Haesong made it clear he never planned to shoot anyone, not even Hyung-bae. His real mission was to plant a bug on Hyung-bae's phone and trace his communications, convinced that his father's death had ties to Myung-ju. That night, the wiretap paid off. Haesong overheard a call between Hyung-bae and Myung-ju, and what he heard changed everything. The killer wasn't Hyung-bae, it was Myung-ju. 20 years earlier, blinded by her obsession with the lost gold of Byung-mun's founder, Myung-ju pulled strings within the intelligence agency. She planted Hyung-bae as her inside man, instructing him to secretly search for the gold while keeping up appearances. Back then, the mission to recover the gold was officially assigned to a respected agent, Haesong's father. But instead of cooperating, he accused Myung-ju of being dangerously obsessed and unfit to hold power. Enraged, Myung-ju grabbed Hyung-bae's gun before he had even risen to director and pulled the trigger. Though wounded, Haesong's father managed to escape. But with Mi Young-ju's men closing in, he took shelter in the hidden chamber beneath the school. Trapped, bleeding, and alone, he died there in silence, his fate unknown until now. Despite committing murder, Mi Young-ju remained calm. She knew there was no solid proof linking the crime to her, just a bullet tied to Hyung-bae. Confident that he would stay silent, she felt untouchable. But Hyung-bae had reached his limit. Tired of protecting her, he decided it was time to confess. He arranged to meet Hae-sung and reveal everything about the death of his father. But Mi Young-ju was always one step ahead. She ordered Jae-moon to stop Hyung-bae before the truth could come out. When Hae-sung arrived at the meeting spot, he found Hyung-bae dead, soaked in blood, inside a parked car. Before he could react, a blow from behind knocked him out cold. By morning, Hae-sung woke up in that same car, Hyung-bae's body beside him, the scene carefully staged. It was a setup. Mi Young-ju had framed him for murder, turning him into the perfect scapegoat. Moments later, the police arrived and declared Hae-sung the prime suspect. The story exploded online. Social media lit up with shock and disbelief, but not everyone bought the official story. Soo-ah, certain of his innocence, refused to accept it. Meanwhile, Sok-ho and the rest of the team rushed to Hae-sung's house. They knew this wasn't a coincidence. It was another trap, carefully planned by Mi Young-ju. And now, they had to find a way to clear his name before it was too late. While searching Hae-sung's house, the team uncovered a crucial piece of evidence, a recorded call between Hyung-bae and Mi Young-ju from the night before, saved on his laptop. But before they could act, Mi Young-ju's loyal officers stormed the place in a sudden raid. Though the team had managed to copy the file, it was quickly confiscated and delivered straight to Mi Young-ju, wiping out their only proof. Later, Mi Young-ju personally visited Hae-sung in custody. She demanded to know where the gold was hidden, convinced he had already found it. But Hae-sung, still unaware of its location, gave her nothing. Obsessed and growing desperate, Mi Young-ju warned that if he didn't give her what she wanted, she'd go after the people he cared about. Soon after, Hae-sung was placed in a transport vehicle for further questioning. Midway through the ride, he took advantage of a brief distraction, fought off the guards, and escaped, causing the vehicle to crash in the process. Battered but alive, he ran. Every step was painful, but he refused to give up. The news of his escape sent Mi Young-ju into a rage. Meanwhile, Hae-sung limped to a nearby payphone and called the only person he could trust, Soo-ah. She rushed to the scene and brought him to a hidden location, avoiding hospitals to stay under the radar. Though he suffered some injuries, they weren't serious, and he wasn't about to stop. With no time to waste, Hae-sung called his team back together. It was time to fight back. One team member revealed a game-changing secret. There was still hard proof that could take Mi Young-ju down. Although the original flash drive had been seized, a backup had been hidden inside a seat cushion at Hae-sung's house. The real challenge now was getting to it without tipping off Mi Young-ju's agents. As expected, the police soon tracked the team's location. Forced to act fast, Hae-sung and Soo-ah slipped out through a window while the others created a diversion. With his field training, Hae-sung managed to shake the pursuit and disappear once again. Back at Byungmun Foundation, panic set in. With no gold to show after everything, Mi Young-ju lashed out, cutting school funds, canceling scholarships, and hiking tuition fees. The backlash was immediate. Furious, the foundation's commissioners demanded her resignation. Soo-ah confronted her directly, but Mi Young-ju threw out a challenge. She'd reverse the policies only if Soo-ah quit her job. Meanwhile, Jin-sung, Hyung-bae's former assistant, discovered the hidden flash drive. It was all part of Hae-sung's plan. He had gambled on Jin-sung's sense of justice, outweighing his loyalty. The risk paid off. With the evidence in hand, Hae-sung turned himself in and gave a full testimony, exposing Mi Young-ju once and for all. This time, her power couldn't shield her. The evidence was too strong to ignore. At school, news of Soo-ah's defiance spread fast. Fueled by her courage, students began rising up, one after another, demanding Mi Young-ju's resignation. The pressure mounted, and soon after, arrest warrants were issued for both Mi Young-ju and her loyal enforcer, Jae-moon. Cornered and unhinged, Mi Young-ju planned a horrifying final move. She intended to burn the school to the ground with herself and everyone inside. She had secretly filled the sprinkler system with gasoline. But before she could carry it out, Hae-sung and his team stormed in and stopped her, taking her into custody before disaster struck. At the police station, Jae-moon refused to break. He took full responsibility for every crime committed over the last 25 years, trying to shield Mi Young-ju from blame. When questioned, he revealed the truth. He had been a homeless orphan until Mi Young-ju's family took him in. From that moment on, his life had been dedicated to repaying their kindness. But in court, Hae-sung challenged him to face reality, to see how far Mi Young-ju had fallen. When he realized Ye-na needed protection from her own mother, Jae-moon finally broke. He confessed it all. Mi Young-ju had murdered Hae-sung's father 2 decades ago. With that confession, the judge delivered the final blow. Mi Young-ju was sentenced to life in prison. After the chaos settled, Hae-sung returned home and took a quiet moment to remember his father. As he replayed old memories, the stories from his childhood suddenly made sense. The star-shaped marks scattered throughout the house were more than just decorations. They were clues. His father, while undercover as a teacher, had secretly moved the gold bars from Bangmun High and hidden them inside their own home. Hae-sung immediately contacted Sako to report the discovery. The long-lost treasure had finally been found. But after everything they'd been through, Hae-sung realized the gold was never the real reward. What truly mattered were the people who stood beside him, the bonds formed, and the truth uncovered. 5 years later, life had changed for everyone. Soo-ah had secured a permanent role as a teacher. Sok-ho had risen to become the agency's director. Yoo-jung was now preparing to join the intelligence agency, following in the footsteps of both her father and Hae-sung. And Ye-na had finally chosen her own path, pursuing the artistic dream she once abandoned. So the moral of the story is, if you ever have to go undercover in high school to hunt for haunted gold, just know it's way easier to forge a student ID than to explain why a priceless statue is now holding your bullet like it's a souvenir.